Good morning. My name's Bill Fitzgerald, and I'm going to help you prepare for the Foreign Service Test. As you all know, the Foreign Service Test is coming up in October, from September 29th through October 6th. You're going to need to register, and what the State Department has probably not made clear, but you will find out very soon when you register, that you need to pick your career track. Those are economic, political, public diplomacy, management, and consular. My name is Bill Fitzgerald. I used to be a consular officer, or at least I was a consular track officer. I started back in the Mesozoic era in 1988, and I retired in 2012. I started out as a consular officer and then took out-of-cone assignments, out-of-career track assignments. Spent most of my time in Africa, 4 tours in Africa, a couple of tours in Latin America. And then my last 6 years, I split my time between the Refugee Bureau and the Bureau of African Affairs. And those are my last 3 years, was heading up policy making and implementation for West Africa. It's a fantastic career. I've mentored a lot of people over the years, scores, I think, of junior officers, now known as entry-level officers. But I can't rave enough about the Foreign Service as a career. The tough choice you have to make is your career track. And I'm not even sure how we did it when I took the test. I think it was after we got the results of the written test, and then we got to decide. But I'm not all that clear. What I know is, though, for you, you're going to have to decide right now. In other words, when you register for the October test. Registration opens August 29th, which is a good thing. It's coming up, but you still have a bit of time to make your decision about how you want to research and with whom do you want to speak to decide which career track you're going to go into. I'll be honest, making your choice on a career track is a big decision. But let's get some of the other stuff. Let's review some of the other stuff first, which is their eligibility requirements. And you can see them right here. U.S. citizen on the date when you register for the test. 20-year-olds and no older than 59-year-olds. Now, I've known in my A100 class, we had a range of 22 to 57, I believe. So it runs the gamut. And typically, at least in my era, classes ran, the average age was about 31, 32. And I believe it's probably still pretty much the same. At least 21 years old, not yet 60, when you become appointed, when you're actually appointed to be a Foreign Service officer. And you got to be available for worldwide assignments. And that's where the health and security screening come in. But that's much later on in the process. I'm going to take you, this is from the Pearson view. Pearson view is the administrator of the test. But I'm going to take you to where the resources for deciding what your career track's going to be are really rich. And I give the State Department a lot of credit for this. First of all, let's go back to the easy one. You start at careers.state.gov, and I'll include all of these URLs down below on the YouTube video. You go to work, you head down to Foreign Service Officer, click on Foreign Service Officer, go down to career tracks. Because honestly, the State Department has listed all of the potential career tracks, from consular, economic, management, political, and public diplomacy. And since I joined as a consular officer, like I said, I joined as a consular officer, but I didn't serve in the Consular Cone for my last 12 years in the Foreign Service. All told, I served 24 years. because my last 2 tours were as a deputy assistant secretary, and prior to that I was a DCM twice. So I really didn't serve in the Consular Cone very much, although I was a Consular Cone officer. And please don't get the idea that you're going to game the system and decide to put down management because you figure management officers, nobody wants to pick management or consular. It doesn't work that way. In other words, if you want to be in the career track that you want, pick that career track. You're not going to be able to change your career track except in very rare cases, and it's usually from political or econ officers and maybe public diplomacy officers who want to go into a management or consular cone. I did know of one person who tried to switch. Now he was started out as a public diplomacy officer, I think, and there was a vacancy in the econ career track, and he switched. But I don't think he liked that. So, in other words, it's very rare. It's almost, I've never seen, say, a management or a consular officer switch to the political or econ track for that matter. I've just never seen it happen. So if you game the system and you come in as a management officer, you're going to be serving most of your career in the management cone. Again, I was an aberration because they don't consider Deputy Chief of Mission, DCM, Deputy Chief of Mission, they used to consider them multifunctional. I don't know what they stand for now. And as a DAS, it's no cone really. It's also multifunctional, I suppose. But anyway, let's cut to the chase. I was Consular Cone officer, and the State Department gives you here, you'll see Consular Career Track. They give you what you can expect to serve, what jobs you can expect, and what are your responsibilities in the entry level, in the mid-level, and in the senior level. That's if you stay within cone and all those positions. Now, I probably did entry level and mid-level and consular. My first 2 tours were consular. Yes, I adjudicated visas. Yes, I did start managing locally hired employees. All that's true. But my first tour was at a big visa mill in Guayaquil in Ecuador, where we were adjudicating visas, non-immigrant visas or tourist visas, immigrant visas, giving people the right to emigrate to the United States, as well as J visas, as well as fiancé visas, which are K visas. We did the gamut, but I also served in American Citizen Services, which are issuing passports, reporting the birth of Americans abroad, so you issue that kid a birth certificate as well as a passport. There are welfare and whereabouts cases. There are prison cases. I chose consular, I'll be honest with you. Again, it's very personal choice because I wanted to help people. I wanted to help American citizens overseas. And I was able to do that. And it was great. But, come second tour, I was in a consular job. I was running the consular section in Zambia, in the embassy in Zambia. I was the only American officer. I had 2 FSNs, Foreign Service Nationals, are now considered locally employed staff. And I had a ball. It was great. But my boss, the DCM, also offered me the possibility of writing cables back to the department. Cables are basically telegrams that you write back to the department. And I had started out as a journalist after I graduated from college in 1983. Yes, I know, the Ice Age. And did that for about 3 years and then moved to Paris, where I was trying to work, and I enjoyed Paris very much. But I also took the Foreign Service test. I've taken it twice. I'd taken it twice, and on the second time I passed. So don't feel nervous that you're not going to pass, and it's your first time taking it. I've known people who've taken the test, honestly, 6 or 7 times before they pass. So first time I considered a learning experience. But anyway, let's cut back to what this offers you. Yes, it shows you what, and you should really pay attention to the entry level opportunities, and all of it is true. And you can skip down and go to, let's go back. You can go back to career tracks. Took me all the way back out to foreign service. And to career tracks. And it has it for all of them. Learn more about econ officers. Again, entry level, work in an economic section under the direction of a more experienced officer. Well, duh, it's your first tour. Mid-level, serve as the chief of a small or medium-sized economic section, supervising local staff and 1 or 2 entry-level officers. But let me just add here, political econ are great jobs. I had a polyecon tour in Mali, and it was fabulous. But it's not built for managing a lot of people. It's just not. The nature of the beast is that management and consular and public diplomacy tend to manage more people in the entry-level jobs and even the mid-level jobs than Paul and econ officers will manage. And it may not seem like much, but frankly, your management skills are going to ensure that you get jobs like Deputy Chief of Mission, where you're basically the Chief Operating Officer under the Ambassador, and you're managing all sections. So managing, I don't want to confuse. Management used to be called administrative, so if I occasionally call it administrative, forgive me. But I'm talking about management, supervising people. And to be honest with you, you can say Paul, and yeah, and you will end up managing maybe 3 or 4 people, maybe 6 or 8 American officers if you go to the big places like Paris or South Korea, Japan, Mexico City. But I'll be honest with you, there are plenty of officers in Paul and econ who get to the senior ranks and they haven't managed a lot of people, and it shows. So anyway, that's my public affairs. Even at the smallest posts up to the medium-sized posts, they're managing generally the same number of people, although the number of American officers they may manage will grow, but not substantially. But their locally employed staff generally continue to be about 10 or 12, but that's a good number of people. So again, supervisory skills are very, very important. Managing emotional intelligence, servant as leader. I mean, there are a lot of good books out there that will teach you how to manage if you're willing to learn. But anyway, I get off my case. I'm going to go back to work. Let's go back to work, and we're going to go to work, Foreign Service Officer, if I can get there, Foreign Service Officer, and underneath your career tracks, the department offers you another, just below career tracks, which career track is right for you. If you know you want to be a political officer, mazel tov. You don't have to do this. You're going to sign up for Paul, go straight to the registration form and put in Paul. But if you have questions, and I encourage everyone to have questions about what they really want to do, and it's a very personal question. I can't answer that for you. I could answer for myself, and you're going to have to answer for yourself. Or maybe 1 or 2 friends who know you really well. Which career track is right for you? The department gives you 50 questions to answer on a scale of 1, very interested, to 5, very uninterested. And I took a quick look at these, like 5. Identify sources of information on economic development in a foreign country. To me, although I've done the work, that's a snooze fest. I wouldn't pick that. But how about advise the mission, ambassador, country team, or other members of the U.S. government on public diplomacy issues. Now, obviously, that's geared for public diplomacy, but I think that's really cool. Or going down here, identify fraudulent or illegal activities, selling false passports, border crossings, and coordinate with FBI, Treasury, Customs, Immigration, Naturalization Service, now called ICE. I don't know why they haven't corrected it. And others to prevent entry of ineligible aliens into the United States. That sounds good to me too, but that's a consular thing. So you go through the 50, and at the end you submit the quiz and they come back and tell you which career tracks, based on your ratings from 1 to 5, what you're likely to be, what kind of, what position, what career track is the right one for you. So your starting place is going to be careers.state.gov. Again, it'll be in the URL. I'll also put in the URLs for the career tracks. And you should go through this. I wanted to shorten this. I've actually taped this a number of times, I'm embarrassed to say. Take the test. I honestly believe it's certainly by far the best career in the U.S. government. Well, aside from certain elective offices, but I think personally, it's fantastic. I had a great time. If you don't mind picking up sticks and moving every 2 or 3 years, the Foreign Service gives you such a wonderful opportunity to immerse yourself in different cultures. And for all your friends who graduated from college and are still living in Chicago or New York or whatever, they're probably having fun, but I guarantee you, living overseas is fantastic. And it's the best opportunity. Now, look, when I joined, they gave us a percentage of, out of 100%, 15% won't get tenure, which is what you're trying to do your first 2 or 3 tours. You get tenure and you're guaranteed 20 plus years in the Foreign Service. So people who don't get tenure are asked to leave. 15% decide they don't want to stay because it's not right for them. And the rest, 70%, generally stay, get tenure, and serve over 20 plus years. Moving, and there's no restriction about moving. I just happen to move between two regions, Africa and Latin America. But I've also known people who've moved to 3 or 4 geographical areas. I would argue that may help or may hurt you in promotion, but that's a discussion for another day. But to be honest with you, it's really hard not to make tenure, especially these days. You folks are coming in. You get offered a job in the Foreign Service, you should take it because there's a big vacancy. There are plenty of jobs that have gone missing in action under Rex Tillerson, so your promotion possibilities are probably outstanding. I think you're going to move up your class and the class last year and the class next year will have great promotion opportunities just to fill the void that a hiring freeze has created in the Foreign Service. But that's good. So I'm going to close it here. I'm also going to include the URLs below, but I really can't recommend enough joining the Foreign Service. You're doing your country a good deed. You're doing your American citizens, because you're all going to do consular work in your first or second tour. That's a given. And the good thing too is you're going to go overseas very quickly. At least when I joined, and in the succeeding decades, God, that makes me so old. They want to get you, the State Department wants to get you out overseas and see if you can deal with it. which is a big thing. Like I said, a lot of people don't like it. I ended up going to Guayaquil, yes, which was a big visa mill, but I had the best boss. And I hope and pray for all of you that you get a good boss on your first tour, because it really is make it or break it. In any case, my name is Bill Fitzgerald. I'm going to be doing more of these. The next one I hope to get out to you will be on another resource that the State Department offers, which are diplomats in residence. Okay, so for now, it's Bill Fitzgerald. I'm going to leave you those URLs, and I'm going to come back to you in a couple of days and talk about diplomats in residence. Thanks very much. Bye.